And now, to my next guests. At first, their story sounds rather like a fairy tale. They met in 1960 while they were both music students. She fell in love with him when she heard him playing a Liszt piano sonata. He went on to win the world's most prestigious piano competition, the Tchaikovsky, and together they were a popular duo on the concert platform. And then, in 1973, he suffered a severe mental breakdown, and his career came to an abrupt halt. And it took him more than 10 years to climb back into the public arena. Well, we'll be hearing more about all of that in a moment, but first, to play part of the Scaramouche Suite by Neo, here are Brenda Lucas and John Ogdon. Wonderful. If you'd like to sit there. Wonderful. Thank you. Do you want to move down a bit, Brenda? We shall lose you off the end of the sofa there. the Chancellor has kindly vacated so that you can sit down. Johnny, that was wonderful. Are you still at your happiest always when playing?
Yes, I am really. I feel tremendously happy and sort of fulfilled when I'm playing the piano.
And it's true, isn't it, that you fell in love with him while he was playing the piano?
Yes.
Can you remember that?
Well, it was a stunning experience, really, and I was a student, and John was about 18 years of age, I think, and he was playing this Dante sonata with tremendous power and passion, and the students were just amazed. We were all standing in the hall and open-mouthed, and I'll never forget it.
And you thought, that's the man for me?
Not at that time.
And is it, though, now, it's very much, isn't it, music that holds you together?
Yes, well.
Yes, I think so, yeah.
28 years of marriage.
But you live apart, don't you?
Well, only just. We live very close in flats, one on top of each other.
Yes, adjoining flats.
So you live in separate flats, but you come together to work, to play?
Yes,
Yes.
to rehearse and to get ready
Yes.
for concerts.
And that's how you find life works best?
Yes, it does.
That's at the moment.
It was, John, we were saying, 27 years ago that you won the Tchaikovsky piano
Yes,
competition
yes,
and catapulted to fame.
well, I felt very fortunate and very excited. And it was a wonderful competition to be in, really.
Can you remember that day still?
Yes, I can, really. It was sort of quite cold weather, and it was an exciting set of finalists playing the different concertos.
Here you are playing there with Tchaikovsky peering down at you. Wonderful finale, that. And you won it together with, look at that audience, together with Vladimir Ashkenazy,
Yes,
didn't you?
yes, I was fortunate enough to. He played wonderfully, as always.
And so did you. And the invitations and the money poured in, and you thought that this was the beginning of
Well, yes,
a
yes, I
wonderful
played
life.
a lot in Scandinavia and went to the United States.
So, Brenda, at what point did you realise that this wonderful new existence that you were beginning to enjoy together was going to suddenly come to an end because of John's mental illness?
Well, nothing happened very suddenly. It was all quite, you know, with the wisdom of hindsight, I can see it was building up. And John first became transparently ill when, you know, he had these cuts on his forehead.
He cut himself with a razor blade.
Yes, shame to say. Yes.
And you realised that, but you called out, did you not, and said, fetch a psychiatrist.
Yes,
You
yes,
recognised.
I did. It was in the film Virtuoso.
Yes. And so, Brenda, you found your husband turning into really rather a violent stranger, did you?
Yes, well, it was the illness, you see, which I was totally unprepared for. And if you remember, it was all about 16 years ago. And it was just very, very frightening. It was something that I hadn't been aware of.
And you also threatened suicide, did you not, John?
Yes, yes.
So you realised that there was something terribly wrong with you, but you didn't have any control over it?
Yes, yes, exactly, exactly.
Now, Brenda, you, during the course of the treatment, as the invitations stopped coming and John stopped playing and he began to seek professional help, you consented that he should have some electric shock treatment, didn't you, for which you were much criticised?
Yes, well, if you're referring to the film Virtuoso, the episode in the film that was portrayed was probably the second time that ECT was suggested to John. The first time it was suggested. It was not suggested. It was made totally compulsory to me. I had no option. So it was a misleading episode in the film, really.
Yes. This
It
was
was a misrepresentation.
the play about your lives. This was,
Well, that particular point was, because I was not given choice, I was told that was the only thing the doctors could do for me. And unless I consented, I would have to take care of John myself, and it was just impossible to do so.
I think Brenda's tremendous musicality didn't really come out in the film, personally.
Yes. But of course what happened was she was much criticised at the time, I think, if I understand it properly.
Well, by
because
few people around.
Because people thought that John's genius for playing would be destroyed
Well,
by
I
this
mean, that
electric
was a very
therapy.
worrying thing for me, you know. But in point of fact, it has not impaired his memory at all.
It's
So,
a
you know,
difficult question to
thank
ask you,
God.
John, but do you feel that you are as great a pianist as ever you were?
Well, I feel I'm playing as well as I did, you know. I hope that better in some way.
And you have to have drugs, don't you, to keep
Yes,
your equilibrium?
stabilising drugs.
But that is no hardship or no difficulty.
No, not really.
Is it possible, Brenda, that if it weren't for you, John would still be institutionalised?
Well, he would definitely still be in home, yes.
So it was you who volunteered to take him out of there and to help him re-establish his life?
1983.
Yes. Are there times, nevertheless, when you're still perhaps frightened of him?
He's silly. Sometimes, but not very often. Not now.
Are you frightened of yourself sometimes, John?
No, not really.
Well, the lithium has stabilised his mood a great deal, you see.
Yes, so that you don't have violent outbursts that you had some 12 months ago.
Not to the same extent.
Do you feel, Brenda, looking back on it all, that, do you feel at all bitter that the life that you might have had, the wonderful success and affluence and position, was lost to you because of John's mental illness?
Oh, I don't feel bitter. I mean, you can't feel bitter when somebody's ill, can you? I mean, it's impossible. It's the only thing you can do is to cope with the illness. It's life, isn't it? You can't feel bitter about somebody who's ill.
No, it just seems such a, I think, when I say bitter, I mean angry at fate, in a sense that fate has dealt you such a frightful card.
Well, fate has dealt a lot of people a lot worse blows than I've had. I've had some very, very moving letters. I can't tell you the tragedy that this illness causes in families, and I was very grateful to see Esther Ranson's wonderful program about 6 weeks ago when she did this. I thought it was a superb program on mental illness. Really.
Yes.
You know, I'm full of admiration for what she
Showing
did.
that the answer is that you really must show caring and understanding.
Well, there's such ignorance, you see, about this illness. I mean, it's almost treated in a medieval way, or it was when John was ill. And there's been a lot of progress in 16 years, you see. There's been a lot of progress, a lot of public awareness. There's still this dreadful stigma about mental illness. People are terrified of madness, terrified.
I wonder, John, now looking back on your career, I wonder what you feel is your greatest achievement.
Oh, well, I think really winning this prize in Moscow was the
beginning of it all. Yes,
really.
yes. And what is your very favourite piece of music? Do you have one, a recording that you've made that you...
Well, I love the Liszt B minor piano sonata. I love playing that.
Is this the one you fell in love to, or is it a different one?
Dante's. Very similar.
But now you're recording together, you're playing together.
Yes, we are.
So
Very happily.
life is looking rosy in that sense.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I thank you both very much for coming and talking to us this evening, and I know you're going to play something else for us. So let me say, as you walk on over, Brenda Lucas and John Ogdon, thank you both very much indeed. Thank you. Earlier, John and Brenda played the first movement of Mio's Scaramouche suite. That was called Vif. They are now going to play for us the final movement, which is called Brasiliera.